as usual, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Welcome to today's Grey Market Blast. Let me just invite the awesome Angie. As usual, this is where Angie, mainly Angie, provides you a rapid roundup of the latest pricing flows and market moving news in the agricultural markets. And I believe it's going to be a busy day and a busy week, busy quarter, perhaps probably a busy 4 years ahead. And
what? No, there's not even anything to talk about today, right? Like, I don't even know. Actually, I'm just over here jamming to Whitesnake and my radio, my head
living the
radio. You know what I
dream.
mean? Yeah, here
Living
I
the
go again
dream.
on the road. Can't wait. So yeah, apparently, happy Monday, right? Trying to figure out where to
Oh,
start
yeah,
or
I forgot it was
where to
Monday.
finish, right? Yeah. Really just kind of living the dream today, revisit back to the olden days, right, where your headlines can make or break your mood potentially, or
Yeah.
existence, really, in some instances. But yeah, so to me, one of the biggest things I want to throw out there, one of the biggest things I want to start with, is there are going to be a lot of people here over the next few days. They're going to use their opinion or provide their opinion and treat it as though it is fact, or that it has been based on something that based in fact or whatever. And so just take everything with a grain of salt. We saw it on Friday. There are sources that may or may not be accurate. I'm not quite sure what the administration is doing. That was a really interesting thing on Friday. With the Reuters report, because we've had more than one Reuters report come out that has been very, very detailed, and based on sources, and has told us things that has only been, completely taken away from by the administration within a couple hours. And so we saw that Friday with the March 1st start to tariffs, and Trump being like, no way, Jose, that's not happening. And so I want everyone to be really, really careful that you're going to see probably a lot of headlines today as well, from sources that may or may not be accurate. So just that biggest thing, take everything with a grain of salt. Believe half of what you hear, and none of what you read, or something. I don't know, whatever. But
Well,
just
this is the thing, right?
yeah.
So this is the thing. Even like you could the headline could be genuine. It's such a fast evolving
Yes.
situation. Like for instance, the headlines we had yesterday, over the weekend, about the tariffs, etc., going on to Canada, they were real.
Yes.
Canada's response was real.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden funny enough, you just reposted PIQ, where my
Yes.
PIQ elves have been reposting the live Reuters headlines, where just about an hour ago we had probably less than an hour ago we had comments out of the White House saying, look, Mexico gets what we're doing. The Canadians have completely misunderstood what we're trying to do. We need to speak to them. And you're like, oh God. But so this is a genuine headline.
Yes.
These aren't people wrong. So and then we've just heard, just before we went on air, that Trump has just spoken to Trudeau,
Yep.
and he's going to speak again at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So
Yes.
yeah,
It's a very
it's a
fluid
difficult one.
situation, is
Yeah,
what I think
there's
is.
a there's a lot of headlines, full stop, that
Yep.
take bombs are everywhere. Yes, you got to be careful which ones you're reading and who you're reading from, but even the legitimate ones could be undone within minutes.
3 minutes.
Say
It's a trial balloon. Like, there's going to be a day of likely trial balloons. I mean, and obviously,
yeah,
and I think it's important to point out too, I'm not taking away from the trade that we have with Canada. The trade with Canada is huge. Canada is our largest destination for ethanol. We have a whole slew of things that in agriculture that we trade with Canada that, may not be as obvious as what is taking place with, or what we do with Mexico. Mexico is our largest destination for corn, one of our largest destinations for soybeans, and one of our largest destinations for wheat. And so I think it's super important too, when looking at, responses in the grain market, or, what it means for the grain market, is the response from each country has been very, very different. Sheinbaum has said that she has told her administration to put together, or to start to put together, their response, retaliatory tariffs, but she hasn't published anything. She hasn't said that there's any sort of amount, at least at this point, and is really, really, really kind of focused on resolution, wanting to work with this administration, saying that over and over and over again. And so I think the other thing that's super important to kind of recognize is it does look like what you had said earlier, where perhaps Canada, and I don't blame them to a certain extent. You know, I have some good friends that are farmers and are, you know, major exporters from Canada into the US of hogs, you know, and are really looking at massive trade bills, you know, talking about tens of thousands of dollars on a load of hogs for someone that's kind of unexpecting it, you know, and some of these other things that are going on that are massive. But I think, you know, what we have to kind of recognize right now at this point is that neither group has come out and said that they are going to retaliate against agricultural products just from a focus standpoint. You know, we're talking about grain markets here, especially, and that the situation's super fluid. Talking to Trudeau, going to talk again at 3. I think Steinbaum has said that she's sending an envoy to DC. I mean, all of these parties are really working to try to stave off this, you know, launch at midnight 01 tonight. And I would say that in true Trump form, I am still anticipating a last minute, look what we did. Like we saved it. You know, and so we have to watch today, and that's my opinion. I'm not trying to say that it's fact. I'm just saying that is what I am anticipating to have happen. You know, and so we're going to be watching that first and foremost. And kind of quietly underneath the radar is the conversation out of Beijing, where they're actually working on, you know, you just did that. Look at us.
Yeah, literally.
You're
I was
awesome. You know,
people, I swear to God, people are going to look at all of this and think they must plan this in advance and not just turn up 2 seconds before the
literally
show.
just launched it. Yeah, the proposes restoring phase 1. You know, and so I think that's a huge thing, and that's been something that I've kind of been throwing out since the election itself. Not a lot of folks really recognize it. Really wanted to talk about 17 and 18 and what happened, and you know, not really recognizing the influence that ASF had on China's ability to tell the U.S. to go fly a kite. You know, to a certain extent. And so there were a lot of, you know, different factors at play. And we kind of have forgotten that we had a deal put in place. Now, a lot of folks, myself included, I was very, you know, cynical and still kind of remain to a certain degree about the China's ability to import $200 billion worth of U.S. agricultural, energy, and infrastructure products, excuse me. But China says they're willing to figure it out, you know, and so I think to me that's a huge thing. A lot of people aren't really factoring that in, you know, and I don't know what it means. I don't know if we end up blowing this whole thing up eventually or whatnot. But to see Beijing basically first and foremost be like, okay, tell us what we need to do to get back in line with phase 1. Tell us what we need to buy to make you happy. Like I think there was a line in the um I can't now I won't be able to find it. I should have highlighted it. But there was a line in there that was basically like, oh, an opening bid. That's what they called it, is an opening bid. So you can tell that China is kind of, you know, really into this whole negotiation thing at this point in time. And so that leaves us something to watch as well, you know, simply because if we end up obviously having a trade spat with our larger trade partners and neighbors is less than ideal. But you know, we have to look to see how that resolves itself here as we move ahead. And really, I have to throw out there that the whole entire conversation so far between Trump and China, when it comes to trade and all of these things, is night and day difference, I think, than what a lot of folks had anticipated. You know, we talked 60% on day 1, you know, no real resolution, blah blah blah. Now we're talking 10%, return to phase 1. I mean, these are all things that I think are super important to pay attention to. And then on top of all of that, we have South American weather and escalation in the Black Sea, and a whole host of other things that are really going to impact actual grain movement, production, supply and demand, you know, those things that are really at the core of market moves, you know, and so we're going to have to continue to watch all of that as well. So yeehaw, giddy up.
Well, awesome. Well, exactly that. So I think more than ever, I think everyone needs to stay tuned to what we have to say on every day at, well, I don't know what time it is wherever anyone's listening, but where I am at 2:15 p.m. But
9:15 here.
There you go. And also, you know, just be really careful, because as we've said during the show, it's just there's so many headline bombs out there. It's going to be a very difficult one to manage. Another reason why you should be using the PIQ platform, which also is another reason why today I will put together the agricultural list and get that up on the platform as well. So all the approved agricultural accounts via the amazing Angie will be available up on the platform as well, to hopefully streamline your digestion of content, because we do appreciate that it's a lot of noise out there and very little signal. So whatever we can do to help that, we will do for you. But anyway, without me waffling on too much, Angie, thank you so much as always. I think it's going to be a busy week.
Could be a busy one. We'll be back later with all kind. Well, tomorrow morning we'll know. We'll either be in tariff land or we'll have a resolution or somewhere in the middle. How do you like that? That's like that Fox Business headline.
This could be the story of the year for next year. Well, that's because, again, that's what phase 1 was like. Remember, it was like, for like, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, yes.
For like 12 months, we were getting headlines every day. Oh, with 90% there, 90% there, 90% there. I was like, just read something. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So traders, farmers, whatever you're doing out there, stay safe, look after yourselves, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow.